going to ask for an amendment to the agenda to move that public hearing up because I'm sure that's what everybody's here tonight for your convenience. I'll just go ahead and move it up rather than it being way down on the agenda. You have to sit here all night, so I'm going to do that and move it up. So I'll ask for a motion to amend the agenda.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign. Obviously, I also need improvement.
You did it. You did it.
I got it through that. Okay. We're good with that. Okay, then we'll move on to that public hearing there. And I'll ask for a motion
I'll make a
to,
motion to open public hearing.
okay, got a motion? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign. Okay, Olga.
Good evening, Olga Grumman, Assistant Development. This is a public hearing to consider a request for annexation of the western portion of acre parcel located at 192 Red. Record is 8625 4616.
Let me fix that.
It's easy to back up. What? Back up a little bit. If you get too close to it,
Wait, I want to do like this.
you just don't hug them.
Better?
Better.
Better.
Yes, ma'am.
March 16, 2026, the town received the attached petition for annexation from L and Charlie's Mountain LLC. The subject property is contiguous to the existing corporate limits of Waynesville. Jesse, could you please change the slide? One more. Thank you. The petition applies to the western portion of the property located at 192 Radcliffe Cove Road in Waynesville. This portion lies across Radcliffe Cove Road. While the exact acreage of the area proposed for annexation has not been specified, a legal description is provided on the platted map. The property is a part of Phase 2 of the Vellewood Farms subdivision. Just if you could do subdivision plan, please. Which is proposed to include 148 single-family residential lots. The site plan has been approved by the Planning Board on February 19th, 2026. Phase 2 is adjacent to the existing Phase 1 of the Vellewood Farms, which consists of 115 single-family residential lots. Phase 2 was developed across 2 properties. Just if you could go back to the western portion of the subject property at 192 Radcliffe Cove Road and the adjacent northern 9.98 acre property to the north of 40 Radcliffe Cove Road. The northern part of the property, which is also part of the subdivision plan, is already incorporated, and it's highlighted on your exhibit. The subject property at 192 Radcliffe Cove Road is currently located within the town's extraterritorial jurisdiction. Upon annexation, the property would be incorporated in the corporate eligible for municipal services, including the sewer service. That is primary reason for annexation. Now, in your agenda package, you will see that you have a plat for the western portion of the property to be annexed, and that's what we advertise staff. So this is the subject property today. Now, in your legal description in the agenda, though, there was a confusion, and the legal description is for the property, which is not the part of today's hearing because it was advertised. It was the intent at that point. Now, for the state to record the legal description, the legal description will be provided because it's already pulled out on the map. We will just request a narrative from the applicant before we submit it to the state. So today we are just talking about the western portion of the property at 192 Radcliffe Cove. Just forward, please. So that concludes staff report, and I do have the applicant with me, Patrick Bradshaw, if you have any additional questions.
Anyone have questions for Olga? You got a question for Olga?
Olga, in reference to the Waynesville 2035 plan, Planning with Purpose, our comprehensive land use plan, And I want to say something, and I have a couple questions to ask you. This plan was adopted by the five of us sitting here in 2020, and it was the result of about 500 people in the community weighing in through public surveys, workshops, the planning board, the steering committee, and many months of effort to come up with the plan. And in the 2035 plan, how is the property in question zoned?
So this property is zoned residential, low to medium density.
And that would be what, 3 to 4 units per acre?
That would be a fair assumption, yes.
And you said single-family residences, I think, too, right?
The proposed plan, as it was approved, is a subdivision for single-family
Well, I'm
residence.
talking about our 2035 plan.
single
called
fam-
for Single family.
Correct. Single-family uses at average density is 3 to 4 units per acre, occasional small-scale attached housing, compatible development such as educational, civic, and faith-based uses in parks.
And actually, we had a 2020 plan, which was adopted in the year 2000. And that also had the same zoning and density requirements, did it not?
I'm not quite sure, but if you say so, yes.
The 2035 plan also has an urban services boundary.
Mhm.
Could you explain what that is?
Urban services boundary is where the boundary around the town areas where the growth is projected and envisioned to happen, and where there usually is availability or projected availability for extension of municipal services such as sewer and water.
Water and sewer. And the subject property is located within the urban services boundary.
Correct. Property is located within the urban services.
And I'm not sure if you can answer this question. Is the urban services boundary approximately the same, or the same for this property that we're proposing to annex as it was in the 2020 plan?
I'm not sure, I was not
Okay,
here
all
for
right
that.
then. Okay.
But if I may add to the low density, so the total acreage of this parcel is 7.5 acres. On that portion that is subject to annexation today, total 110 lots are proposed on about 46 acres of that section. That yields approximately 2.4.
As far as the density goes, is it true that the developer could have put more homes in the community and complied with our requirements? Okay. And in terms of the process that development services uses, you have already reviewed all sorts of things, have you not? You've reviewed traffic analysis, environmental analysis, street and sidewalks layout, greenways, public civic space, within the subdivision, stream bank buffers. Is that true?
That is true.
And you've also gone through a stormwater permit process. Is that right?
They are initiating the process, but it will be before the building permit is issued, yes.
Okay. And does this development overburden our sewer system at all?
We have the capacity to serve the development based on our allocations.
Okay, great. And in terms of let me ask you a question about, I'm almost through. Let me ask you a question about phase one. Our building inspectors, we've assigned our most experienced building inspectors to this subdivision, have we not?
Our building inspectors took part, but the most experienced ones took the lead for sure.
All right. And we've had to strictly enforce the building code in phase one of this subdivision, have we not?
We have.
And we've even had to get our attorney involved.
We have.
Okay, all right. So and the final question has to do with the amenities in the subdivision, the curbing, the sidewalks, the roads, the trees, the public space and amenities. They will have to be finished in phase one before the final CO is given.
That is correct.
And that's because you don't want to, because these things get disturbed during the process of development, and you really don't want to put them in until the end. Is that true?
That is true.
And there's also a process to involve the HOA with planning the public space. Is that correct?
A lot of times there is.
So the community has an opportunity to weigh in on what sorts of public space or civic space they want to have in the subdivision.
That is correct. The developer would designate the areas that we require, and we have increased the percentages since the phase one, and the community has a way in. That is correct, what they would
Right,
like.
and we have guidelines that they have to go by with different types of public civic space in
Yes, we
these
do.
subdivisions. Okay, that's all the questions. Sorry to take so much time.
Okay. The thing I was gonna point out, tell me if I'm correct, 38 of those houses has already been approved. Tonight, we're only really speaking out of that 151 of 110, correct?
We're not approving the houses. The subdivision plan has been
subdivision.
approved. The property, the northern portion of the site plan, the northern property of approximately 10 acres, it is already municipal limits, so they can start building and they can serve these houses.
That is the 38 house.
Correct.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Which is in the ETJ.
Corporate limits.
Can I make two comments? First of all, to correct Chuck, we didn't propose this annexation. This is a request by the property owner to the council to annex their property, okay? So.
Point of order, I don't think that's what he said.
It's
No,
not.
he said we proposed. Okay, and I've got it recorded. If we need to go back and look at it, I'm just pointing out to the audience that the council did not request to annex this property.
Of course not. No, this is a petition by the property owners to annex.
Okay. Okay, thank
And
you
if
for
I said that, I'm
clarifying.
sorry.
Okay, all right. The second point is Chuck rightfully mentioned that all of this fits within the 2035 plan. And the point I would make about that is the work on the 2035 plan and the adoption of that plan done by this council preceded phase one. Okay? And so the question in my mind is, knowing now, if we knew then what we know now, would we actually adopt that plan as written? And I understand that that is a complete unknown, but it is a question worth thinking about.
That's all you have? Okay. All right, petitioner would like to speak, correct?
Would you? I'm not sure.
Glad to. I don't have any formal remarks. Glad to answer any questions. Patrick Bradshaw, Civil Design Concepts. We're not the actual petitioner, but we do authorize to speak.
You were authorized.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
I
So,
read.
like I say, I'd be glad to answer any specific questions that anyone might have with
John, do you have
regard
any
to the same.
questions for Patrick? Anthony,
No, sir.
Julie,
No, sir.
Chuck?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go again.
Okay.
Patrick, the civic space is, I think, 9.85 acres in this subdivision. And can you describe what is proposed with that?
So there's a large area that is just to, and can we borrow a map?
You want the site plan?
If you could, or even the GIS.
I've got the GIS ready.
GIS would be great. So an area just across Raccoon Creek constitutes a fair amount of that. Some of that area is wetland area, so not really developable, if you will, Councilman Dixon. And then there are other areas scattered throughout, both phase 1 and 2. And to your point, the context of those, so those are ordinarily no different than street trees, and some sidewalk areas are bonded out so that the value of their construction is there until the community comes together. The instance that we have seen in other areas with regard to civic space is one can plan for a dog park when the community may not be very big on pet ownership, if you will, and they maybe wanted a kid's playground and those kind of things. So what you hope to do, and the developer strives to do, is to see the property largely built out, and at that point understand what the most appropriate backfill of those amenities may be. So that's why you won't see a lot of specificity about those other than their dedicated.
The area to the right or to the east of the creek, which is the dark line going through there, that will not be developed. Is
That's
that
correct. Yeah, kind of that pie-shaped piece that parallels Raccoon Road.
And the plans do show a greenway going on the west side of the creek, I believe. Is
Correct.
that
So we've established an easement. We're dedicating an easement to the town because I think it's on, I don't know what year the adoption of, but the most recent Greenway plan. So we have set that up in addition to providing the pedestrian facilities along the roads. So that's just an additional.
And those will ultimately
Additional
connect
effort.
with the Asheville Highway
Correct.
across the other piece of property that's already in the town.
That
That's
is
gonna be part
correct.
of this development. At one of our meetings, we asked if we could get some accommodations for Sunnyside Road. Could you describe what the developer has agreed to do there?
So we've talked with DOT, and that's the real balancing act. The right-of-way along, and even the property ownership, DOT has very little prescribed right-of-way along Sunnyside. In addition, some of the property ownership at varying places along Sunnyside will meander from one side to the other, like in part of even phase one. Probably the easiest way to say that is the developer in totality is not in control even after closing of, presumed closing of this phase two of the property, is not in complete control of that northern side of Sunnyside, if you will. What we have done is work with DOT. They've been through our traffic study exhaustively. We have largely an additional entrance beyond what DOT would even say that we need. We feel like that the Asheville Highway, the entrance is proposed in proximity to the roundabout will be the most desirable entrance. But we're going to work with pulling all of our construction traffic in off of Raccoon Road and not connect the Sunnyside entrance until the very end of that construction. In addition, DOT did allow us to widen out that entrance off of Sunnyside. The additional entrance is not an entrance that's there today, but the second entrance that will be proposed on Sunnyside. So working through just trying to make those accommodations, recognizing that. As well, DOT revealed to us that they have a maintenance plan, I think of which I detailed some of these things in a memo to council, and I don't remember the year, but I think it's about 3 years out. It serves me. It's either 28 or 29.
I believe the acquisition's 28 and letting is in 29.
So they're proposed to have some improvements. They'll look at immediate near-term improvements for maintenance and then hopeful to make, additional improvements going forward. The low volume of Sunnyside, even after phase one, as DOT has competition for dollars, if you will, in the way that they run things, just makes. We talked with Cody Weedle and the DOT office, said it just doesn't score very well. And when I say that, it doesn't score very well Sunnyside because of its demand. It's like it's a rural road, and even at 1,000 cars a day, there are just many, many more.
And there will be two extensions of the roads in phase one through phase two. So the folks in phase one will be able to travel through phase two to get out to Ratcliffe.
That's correct. You could do the most remote lot of phase one and never have to go on Sunnyside unless you chose to do that.
And of course, DOT has approved the entrance off of Ratcliffe Cove Road, taking into account safety and all that sort of thing. Does the town have to extend or build any sewer or water lines to serve this subdivision? In other words, will it cost us anything?
No, the developer bears all of that cost.
And one other question, and let me preface it by giving a little research I've done. In 2026, already this year, 10 homes have sold in phase one, ranging from $395,000 to $458,000. The 395 had 5 bedrooms, a $400,000 house had 4 bedrooms. My question is, are there any other new homes in Haywood County with comparable square footage and bedrooms, 2-car garages and paved streets and sidewalks and public water and sewer that sell for these prices?
I will say not that I have awareness of. I would hate to say explicitly, because I could imagine, but a new construction home with the amenities you just outlined, I'm not aware of any.
And I looked at the staff report. It looks like this new phase, it would be for the whole subdivision, not just what we're annexing, they're going to plant 250, 300 trees or something like that will be
Yeah.
added. And those trees are planted in the buffer zone between the street and the sidewalk.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. Done.
Do you have anything?
That's all.
Anyone else have any questions?
Patrick, you mentioned that the town of Waynesville is not on the hook for building any infrastructure, water, sewer, roads, sidewalks, none of that
Correct.
up front. What happens after the infrastructure is built? Who's responsible for maintaining?
So those are dedicated to the town. Water and sewer are, roads don't ordinarily immediately move. Ordinarily, that's after a period of time, after a certain period of build out, they can petition the town for the town to accept those. But it's ordinarily the desire of, I want to say, municipalities in general to certainly be in control of the water and sewer systems because of the connectivity of getting from, a property that's offside of this property over to the next property. You get these links in between of both water and sewer. So you don't want private ownership there
Sure.
that might not, do right by. So you're getting, I would say in ordinary 50-year type materials, if you will. That's what we see in the water and sewer industry. Water and sewer that was put in the 60s is coming home to roost today. That's
So the point is basically, yes, correct. We don't have to pay for the build outs for the infrastructure, but we are indeed on the hook to maintain it forever.
I think that would be a fair statement. Yeah.
One question.
Nancy,
Is that inspected by the town?
It is absolutely, can be inspected by the town at their preference, and it is inspected and must be certified by us as engineers. So the contractor can't just go roughshod without approval. We have to certify back to the state of North Carolina on the town's behalf that it was installed appropriately.
Do they ever stop paying for sewer fees? Not that I know of.
Now, they'll cut your water off if you don't pay your water bill. Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? We'll move this along.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open this up to public. The rules are you have a 3-minute comment time, and the town attorney will keep that 3-minute period. Do you want to use off of those? Or you want to just from the spectators?
So we only, tonight's public comment cards were filled by only folks who want to speak at the public hearing.
Okay.
So all of these cards are for the.
They
public
are
hearing.
from the public. You want, then I suggest you call.
Point of clarity, we do not request that they give us their address, but we do request whether they live inside the town limits, correct?
According to the rules of procedure, the board doesn't require any statement of residency.
I think it actually does state that,
They just have to say whether they're in town limits or not.
Okay.
but no address.
There were some old cards that got mixed in somehow, so
Okay.
there may be some addresses listed, but it.
Please don't
most of
state
them
your
just say
address.
Within town limits or not, and they should circle yes or no.
Okay.
So when they come up, state their name.
Whether.
No, don't state your address, just state whether you live inside the town limits or not.
And also there are 15 folks signed up at 3 minutes apiece. That means we have at least 45 minutes ahead of us if everybody sticks to the time limit. So please be conscientious of your time. There will be a timer here. You'll be able to see how much time you have remaining. And if you can't see the timer, please let us know. Make sure that you have access to an awareness of when your time will run out.
Yeah.
Okay. Trey, balance.
Hey guys, Trey Balance, and I live right outside of the town limits. Like I said, my name's Trey Balance. I'm a general contractor and a 6th generation resident of Ratcliffe Cove. I'm here to represent the local trades and the families who lived here long before these developments were even thought of. Phase 1 was a mistake, and Phase 2 is an insult to local businesses and the people of Haywood County. This developer is a national giant that is denying our local trades employment opportunities. They're not hiring our local electricians, plumbers, or carpenters. They're not buying from our local suppliers. Instead, they're taking our jobs and millions of dollars from our community. As a contractor, I'm seeing these big high-density developments bring property values down. When banks use these homes to compare prices, it ends up hurting the value of well-built custom homes. You're making it financially impossible for locals to build their own homes on their own land, and you're taking work away from every local builder in Haywood County. If you deny this annexation, the project will not have access to town sewer. It stays under county rules, which means larger lots and septic systems. That makes it a lot less likely for big builders to come in and try to pack a high-density homes that do not fit in our mountains. Instead, it would create opportunities for individual homeowners to hire local contractors to build quality homes that respect our heritage and keep the money right here in our community where it belongs. We call ourselves the gateway to the Smoky Mountains, but we're building a gateway that looks like a suburban parking lot. These developments are being called the new trailer parks. If you didn't know that, they look like trailer parks. They're permanent, and once the landscape's gone, it's gone forever. This is a critical moment for Waynesville. By voting no, you retain the power to shape our town's future and send a message that Waynesville is a community of deep mountain heritage, not for sale. Listen to the people who have roots here, not the developers' bottom line. Vote no on the annexation of Queens Farm Phase 2. I personally have not spoken to one person who supports this or has any positive thing to say about these housing developments around Haywood County. Have you? I mean, does anybody in here actually support these developments? If you do, raise your hand. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dawn Smart.
Members of Town Council, I'm a full-time farmer here in the county, 4th generation farmer. I was raised here, and I considered it an honor to be born in the time frame that I was born in and to be raised in the Crabtree community of Haywood County. It was told to me as I was growing up as a kid that the closest you'd ever get to heaven is Haywood County. And I sure believe it, folks, but I'm worried now. It seems like our leaders in this county is wanting to give away heaven. We got beautiful scenery. People come to see it. We got a booming tourist industry, except a few of them won't come here and stay, and that ain't working too good. But why do we want to give away this good county to people from well places? Last night on the radio, a guy from New York had moved here. He said, I come here as soon as I retired, me and my wife, and said it costs 1/12 as much to live in Haywood County as it does in New York. And he said, my neighbor's coming, and said thousands more are coming, and thanks to D.R. Horton, he's building thousands of houses. Goodbye, Haywood. Goodbye, North Carolina. Now, I'm a farmer, and it's going to be in July, 250 years. Our country will be. This has been a historic county. Pioneers, Cherokee Indians, and we've been proud of this county. But we have lost so much farmland. We got less than 50,000 acres left now in Haywood County, and by 2040, we'll lose 40% or more if you continue to do what you're doing, building these cookie cutter cluster houses. What is wrong with the native people of Haywood County? Can't we do what these people coming in here can do? Yeah. We don't make six-figure salaries. We can't buy these kind of houses. We need to take care of our people. We need to take care of this good county, not give it away. What's your vision? Progress with vision. If your vision of progress is this right here, folks, I'm afraid we're headed in the wrong direction. Look at this beautiful scenery. It brings people here. Land creates money for families and keeps native Haywood Countyans here. You're going to change the demographics of Haywood County. It's going to be all foreigners and nobody from Haywood. Gary, if you're still around 3 or 4 more years and you let this go, son, there's going to be a man in Port Orgeland sitting right there in your seat. And look what it's going to do, those houses. Show them a picture. You got out there on, what, 57 and 30 acres, roughly 100 acres, houses built right on. What's going to happen? You get a 6, 7, 8 inch rain. What's it going to do to Raccoon Creek? What's it going to do to the traffic out there? It's barely negotiable. Now we got farmers that go across the mountain. I haul tomatoes to Bethel to the packing house. How am I going to negotiate that?
Okay. Your time. Your time's up. Thank you.
Tabitha Ross.
So my name is Tabitha Ross, and I live on Jonathan Creek, and I have seen this development go up right across from where I live. And we farm the land right beside of it. The runoff water that is going to happen from this development is going to ruin our corn, and we barely have enough land now to grow corn for our farm and for our cattle. My thing is like, you're letting this happen. So, our hospital, I was in healthcare for 18 years. Our hospital only holds 154 beds in our hospital. Our schools are at capacity now, and you are allowing these people to come in and build more homes, which brings more people, which our town cannot hold. Our schools cannot hold it. Our hospital cannot hold it. We are fixing to lose our Trauma One hospital, which is Mission. If you don't know, that hangs in the balance. Our Trauma One hospital is going to lose their Trauma One certification because of the way that they are being managed. Our schools cannot handle it. Clyde Elementary School is already at 550 students for Clyde. Lake Junaluska is at 440 students. What are you going to do with these families and their kids that are coming in here? How are we going to help these people if they're sick? How are we going to hospitalize these people if they need to be hospitalized? We already have to fly somebody out if they have a trauma. I mean, they fly over my house all the time. Mama lands right at Jonathan Creek Fire Department. And then my husband and my kids, they ride in a tractor right over Ratcliffe Cove to go to our land in Bethel. And then you have cars that have no idea how to show respect to a tractor. They want to cut us off. They want to run us out of the road. They want to go by and flip us the finger. That is not how we respect our farmers. And that is not how we respect our people in general in this county. So my concern is, it is the farmers, and that is what we do for a living, but it goes much further than that. It's the schools, the hospitals. I mean, our county, our schools are busting at the seams. Kids are not getting the attention that they need because we don't have the staff that we need. The hospital doesn't have the staff they need. The emergency services don't have the staff they need. Fire department, ambulance. There's no staff to handle what you're allowing to come in here. And I mean, our farmers they feed you. They feed us, they make milk for us, and we work very hard to preserve our land. So please, please, I'm asking, do not let this go through.
Good evening. My name is Mandy Stassi, and I live on the fifth generation Haywood farming at the February 19th meeting of the Town of Waynesville Planning Board, one of the most discussed topics was farmland preservation. Many of the same Many of the same local farmers that were there are here again tonight, even though it is a busy planting season, because they believe passionately in the need to protect Haywood County's most precious gift, the land. I myself spoke at that meeting raising critical questions about agricultural land being rezoned for development and the effect it has on surrounding land values and taxes, the possible effects the development would have on the Mountain Research Station test farm and all of its field trials, and the need to develop long-term land use plans that include directing new housing towards already developed areas. I would like to renew those points, but to also encourage our local government to be involved with the discussion and work around the need for nonprofits such as Southern Appalachian Highlands Conservancy, right here within Haywood County. Such an organization could help bridge the financial gap between conservation easements offers and fair market value, making it far more attractive for farmers to keep their land in agriculture rather than to sell it to developers. With a public and private partnership approach, we could create a more competitive and effective preservation strategy. The funding currently available for farmland preservation simply cannot compete with offers from developers, just like the ones I'm sure that were made to Mr. Queen. Even if Haywood County committed every available public dollar to farmland preservation, it still would not be enough to close that gap. That reality should not discourage us. It should challenge us all to think bigger. Farmland is not just open space. It is essential infrastructure. It feeds our families, supports our local economy, and preserves the rural character that defines Haywood County. If we truly value it, we must be willing to protect of the roughly 354,000 acres in Haywood County, only 50,000 acres remain in farmland, and just a small portion of that is permanently protected. The reality is clear. Farmland is disappearing, and once it's gone, we cannot get it back. I'd like to close with one of my favorite quotes from a great man. Who's the most important person in America? A farmer. Farmers sustain us in ways that often go unnoticed, and they deserve both our respect and our support. Let us all take that to heart. If we begin to view our land not as a commodity, but as a gift, something entrusted to us, then we will care for it differently. We will be good stewards of it, we'll protect it, we'll invest in it, and we'll ensure that it continues to provide for generations to come.
Martha Mills.
I am Martha Mills. I am the chairperson of the Haywood County Farmland Preservation. I have a small farm on the other side of Waynesville Mountain. I also have a piece of property that is farmed. It is farmland, and it's in the ETJ. I'm very concerned about Haywood County and all of America. We all like to eat. We all have to have food to survive and water. And in Haywood County, Mr. Horton has made a purchase of 2 of our larger farms. He's got his hands on it. He's after us. It's like Mr. Smart said. Everybody likes Haywood County. We're a beautiful county. People like to come to the mountains. And I'll have to brag on the town of Waynesville. We have good festivals and people all over come over. And when they come here, they like us. It's beautiful here. But we need to think about what's happening with our future and what's going to happen to America and Haywood County when we cut out our farmland. Also, you're jeopardizing our research station. It's right next door. That's a big plus for us here in Haywood County. I was fortunate to work for USDA Farm Service Agency for 33 years. I sat in that building, that USDA building, right across from the research station. I watched that Raccoon Creek flood. You're gonna take, and you're gonna build this up out there in that bottom. And you're gonna finish Raccoon Creek back to who knows where. And you're gonna flood. But you're gonna put houses in there, and you're not gonna think about what's happening back down the road here from what is gonna transpire. It's something you need to think about. And Haywood County is my home. It's my home. I grew up here. And I don't plan on leaving. I don't plan on doing away with farmland. I'm gonna support it to the bitter end. It's important. You all like to eat. And it's something you need to think about. And I hope when you vote, you'll vote no. Thank you.
Michael Hertel.
Those are all very tough acts to follow. I especially endorse what Trey is saying. Nobody could have said it better. I put down a few thoughts that I'll just say them as they are. We lived in Bethel for the last 20 years. My wife and I could no longer handle the maintenance of our property, and our options for property within Waynesville were close to zero. Sorry, but we ended up buying in Valleywood out of desperation and as part of an aging strategy. Our realtors couldn't even show us anything else in Waynesville, so we were backed into a corner. We've been embarrassed and ashamed of living there since day one 5 months ago. My wife and my cat adapted well. I am still a mess, so my heart is still up in Bethlehem. It really is. And we apologize when someone asks where we live now. We apologize to anyone who asks because of how we feel about that place. I personally picketed phase 1 when I saw the grading and the excavation begin because of the impact I perceived. Now I'm an embarrassed hypocrite, and I'm sorry to all of you. And ironically, I come from a dairy farm. We just sold our dairy farm in Wisconsin. So I am a farmer at heart, and I know farmers around here. You know, people put all the blame on Horton, and without a doubt, their modus operandi has zero respect for the land that they're contributing to the destruction. And I say, damn them for that. And for what it's worth, I was in the office today talking to someone I know personally there long before he worked for Horton, and I found out that damn Mr. Horton is dead. For what it's worth. I'm a Christian, but damn Mr. Horton. I saw yes, Mr. Smart, and I'm wondering if it's your brother who I saw the funeral for, who I want to go out in Crabtree and visit. However, unfortunately, Mr. Queen bears some of the responsibility for what's happening. You know, I know Lisa Shelton and her husband, and nobody wants to take over the farm. I understand that. But still, Mr. Queen is contributing to this catastrophe, and that can't be denied. And when it comes to the mass influx of people buying up these developments, let's not forget our greedy TDA that's responsible for turning our sweet town into, I'm sorry, a stinking ash. Dollars, 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 when is it enough? I hear my time. I just want to say quickly.
Your time's up, sir.
single name Harrison. Please provide your first and last name for the record when you introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you guys for allowing me to speak today. My name is Harrison Smith. I'm here tonight because I care deeply about this town, what it is today and what it will become tomorrow. Waynesville has always been a small town with character. People don't move here because we're trying to become something bigger. They move here because of what we already are. The open land, the slower pace, the sense of community. That's what makes this place special. Farmland on Rapid Cove Road that's being considered for development isn't just empty space, it's part of that identity. And once it's gone for good. We can't get that back. I understand that growth is inevitable, and I'm not here to say no to growth at all. But I'm also here to ask, what kind of growth do we want? Growth that preserves what makes Waynesville unique, or growth that slowly replaces it? If we continue approving large-scale developments, subdivisions, apartments, and expansions without limits, we risk losing the very thing that draws people here in the first place. At some point, we have to be honest with ourselves. If we keep going down this road, we can't really call ourselves a small town anymore. And I don't think most of us want to become another Asheville. Asheville is a great city, but it's not Waynesville. Once we start following that same path, we lose what makes this place different. This isn't about land, it's about identity, community, and long-term vision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Drotos.
If I may present some photographs.
If you'll hand it to the clerk.
Michelle Drotis. I live at Valleywood Farms, and my chief concern is how D.R. Horton's neighborhood photographs. Mr. Mayor was talking about the wonderful things, 100 trees planted. Well, the pictures tell 100,000 words. Talk is cheap. The example of our civic space, you decide. The amenities, for example, there are none. Please vote no. And I yield my time to Mr. John Deere.
We don't allow.
We don't allow.
No. There's
Oh,
only
just
one
in
person.
Congress. Well, please vote no. Please vote no.
Deborah Caxar.
Hi, my name is Debbie Kazar. I am a resident of Waynesville. I'm not a public speaker, so please excuse me. I have reviewed the Waynesville 2035 Comprehensive Land Use Plan and Waynesville Vision, and I do not believe that D.R. Horton Phase 2 development meets that plan and that vision. And it was written by people that created that comprehensive plan. And when I read it, I didn't get the same understanding that this gentleman had that it met that. It called for mixed use, yet it says not high density. It was brought up tonight about the density, saying it meets it, but that's taking out, what they do is they take out that part that they can't develop with the floodplain, and that it was, what was it called? Wetlands that can't be provided, or it can't be developed on. So it's making it sound like they're meeting the need, but because they can't develop that. And that's what they're considering, to give a civic space to the residents of proposed Phase 2. So I want you to please review that. I'm also concerned about the safety issues. We hear that the roads meet the needs. Sunnyside is dangerous. Sunnyside is so narrow. If you come upon another car or truck, you almost have to stop completely to let them go by. And this is 100 and some more homes that's going to add. And yes, you say it comes out at the roundabout, the other entrance, which is right across the proposed, right across from the Biltmore Church's entrance. I ask you to drive that roundabout And as you come around it, you cannot even see what the proposed entrance is going to be because there's a dip. And it's a big dip. So somebody could be turning left, somebody doesn't see them, and they're going to T-bone them. And it's very dangerous. And, people are going to be coming out of there to take their kids to school. And you cannot see people coming. And that's just going to add to the traffic coming around that traffic circle onto Raccoon. If you have to consider this subdivision, I think that you should not approve it in any way, shape, or form in the way it's designed as it shows right now on their plans because of the safety and the concerns, and they're even building houses on a floodplain and the impact that that's going to have on the area. Going into the civic space of the current phase 1, D.R. Horton proposed a piece of property for the residents is a sloped hill. What kind of use does that have? Sorry. Darn, that was short.
Mark Ray.
Hello, Council. My name is Mark Ray. That's my wife, Gloria. And we moved here about 3 years ago, but we did buy a little acreage out on Ratcliffe Cove Road, and we tried to blend in seamlessly to the area because we don't have the love that some of these long-term people have, but we share it. And I'm not sure that, excuse me, I don't know everybody on the board, but the gentleman at the end, I guess you're all in. Sounds like you're in, so you're going to do this. But I keep hearing Plan 235 and all these plans, but if that's where's that picture? If you put that picture up, if that's your vision of a 2035, shame on you. You failed miserably. Have you, the housing on Jonathan Creek or which one looks worse? It's an eyesore, and I don't know firsthand, Trey may know more. I hear that they're built like they're terrible built. Probably 15 years, it's gonna look like a slum. Anyway, all I'm asking for, just because it meets the requirements, surely you guys have the authority and the intelligence to say, we don't have to prove this. Don't go after a few dollars. You're looking at tax dollars, I'm sure. Who knows? Kickbacks. I don't know. But
That's uncalled.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's an accusation that it's not.
I'll take that back.
Thank you.
But I know there's tax dollars on the tables, but at least you could put some requirements, larger lots, something that looks good, because what's there, I don't know if you've seen them, they look so out of place in Waynesville. So if that's your vision, if that's what you guys put time in my industry where I came from, you'd probably be fired to say, is that the best you could do? So I can't repeat all the farming and the impact of that because I know it hits it, but I don't have the experience in that because we haven't been here that long. But we came here because of Waynesville being a nice mix of farmland and small town community and starting to look like Asheville. And we don't want that. So that's all I wanted to say. And please have the thought to say, just because it meets the minimum requirements doesn't mean, I hope that doesn't mean we have to prove it. Thank you.
Margaret Matlos. Wasn't quite sure what those last two schools were.
I live in phase 1. We fell in love with the amazing mountain views, beautiful town of Waynesville, and wonderful farms, and we could not ask for a better bunch of neighbors. We had no idea that there would be an additional 148 homes added to the neighborhood when we purchased them. I never would have dreamt that the farm with the farmland preservation and river-friendly farmer signs hanging out front would become a major residential development. I appreciated the opportunity to speak at the planning board meeting. I was moved by the residents of not only our neighborhood, but also the beautiful community, including the many farmers surrounding the area. We all have a common goal: the safety of our families, the environment, and what makes Waynesville so special. I was shocked to learn at the meeting from the town that there were no environmental studies conducted on the site of the proposed development. How can it just be assumed that an additional 148 houses will not degrade Raccoon Creek? Raccoon Creek is a tributary to Richland Creek, which is on the 303D list for impaired waterways. The town's MS4 permit requires monitoring of these waterways and implementing best management practices to reduce discharge of pollutants and to prevent further impairment. Have any post-construction requirements been met for phase one? Has the environmental review been conducted on filling one of the existing basins and relocating it to near the creek as proposed in phase two? Studies need to be conducted to ensure the riparian buffers and wetlands are not impacted. How can an additional 148 homes, many in the floodplain, not contribute to an additional degradation of this tributary and ultimately Richland Creek? As for the floodplain, to me, it seems like a poor choice building houses within a floodplain. In particular, when the phase one came with 2012 mapping. A great deal has happened since 2012, as we saw with Helene. Filling it to build higher is not a solution because you cannot guarantee that filling won't create more flooding, especially when the additional runoff and impervious cover from the proposed development is constructed. Since this project has not had an environmental review, that leaves me to believe that it does not have a floodplain development permit. I feel consideration of the proposed flow should also be looked at. The regs changed during phase one, and now phase two is getting a credit for the flow. This will, if you do not make this adjustment, it will help the town with ensuring there will be no capacity issues in the future with all of the new development taking place. Since before the sewer upgrade, there was overflow to Richland Creek, which ultimately impacts Pigeon River, which is also on the 303D list. If the development of this farm must happen, perhaps there is a more conservative approach with less houses and more open space, one that will protect not only the residents from excessive traffic, overcrowded schools, and environmental disasters, but will also allow for the continuation of the vision for the small town while still providing additional housing on a smaller scale. Thank you.
Mark Jones.
Hello, council. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Bart Jones. I do not live within the city limits. I do live within the extrajudicial jurisdiction. So at some point, as well. I really wanted to just reiterate something that other people pointed out. Actually, like a lot of council recommended about the decision in 2020 to adopt the 2035 comprehensive land use plan. I would just like to read a paragraph of that plan, from the forward of that plan that was adopted by the council. To build on smart growth principles, continue the smart growth principles that framed the 2020 comprehensive land development plan. These principles encourage a mix of uses, infill, and reuse within an established urban services boundary, protecting open space, farmland, and natural areas on the outskirts of town. This is very objective. Much has been made about the map that was provided with this comprehensive plan. The map does show medium to low density housing in this area. The map also shows, at least on the published copies of the maps that I've seen, the word draft emboldened at the top. It's not clear that the map was adopted as part of that comprehensive plan. Now we've seen what houses on 1/6 acre lots look like. I think anyone can look at phase one and agree with what Trey said. It was a mistake. Going forward, to adopt the proposal and to annex this land into the city is a mistake. The public is here to tell you it's a mistake. It is not in the public interest. It is not in the public interest. Your number one job is to serve the public interest. Thank you.
I'm Paul Pratt. I'm not afraid to say my name. I lived 40 years inside the town limits and about 5 years ago moved directly across Queen Farm, built a little house. Town inspectors helped me out. They were great. And so I'm not a taxpayer in the town, but I'm in the 1 mile jurisdiction. Sort of feel like I have a target on myself, but I understand you said that the wetlands would be restored that were there, or is that what you're saying? Because there were wetlands there. 3 years ago, tractor showed up and cut drainage in there, and the wetlands left, the geese left, the ospreys left. I mean, we saw deer down there. That's fine. You know, we're growing the town. But to say that you're going to put a little drainage pond down there and say that's a wetland, that's wrong.
Sir, with all due respect, I never said that. You should address that board, not me. I'm not opposing you.
Okay. Well, I want to address you.
Sir, you need to.
Okay. My other point is I'd just like to say how many people in this room will benefit from, you know, retail sales on the building, real estate sales, carpenters, electricians. I live there. I say they bring everyone in, every bit of the material. This town does not benefit. Now, you could benefit. You could make a special tax that they have to pay for all the stuff that didn't come from here. And then we would benefit. Or maybe they would change their ideas and hire some local people. So I think everyone here knows most people do not want this. So it's up to you. You're chosen to protect us.
Thank you, sir.
Debbie Castagna.
Hi, Debbie Castagna, and I do live in Valleywood Farms community. I agree with everything everyone said here tonight. I feel like I have to apologize for living in the community because there are a lot of issues and a lot of controversy. I looked for 4 years to try to find a house here and finally ended up in the cookie cutter community is what I like to call it. Not really what I planned, but I do have a lot of concerns about the safety of the community and the traffic patterns, which was addressed a little bit. But if you've ever gone on Sunnyside, I know they talk about how narrow, but if you're trying to get out from Sunnyside onto Raccoon and you're trying to make a left-hand turn, that is a death trap. There have been many, many accidents, and I suggest that somebody study that because I personally know one of my neighbors, had an accident coming out of there with their 2 grandchildren, and they were traumatized. But it's just a giant curve, and it's really hard to get out. The other issues that kind of concern me, and I'm not sure if I should bring it up here, but D.R. Horton hasn't finished a lot of things in our community. You go walk the sidewalk, they're lifted sidewalks where people can really get injured. There's also craters on the sidewalk where they put a sidewalk in and dug it out too big, and there's giant craters off the side. My dog falls in them all the time, and I'm afraid he's going to break his leg. It's just, I know somebody said they would complete our community first before they move on to the next phase, and I hope they do consider doing that. because I know we were promised like 80 trees and some safety fencing around the retention ponds and things like that. And I just don't know if that's going to happen. You can probably see them hobbling around here. That was another safety concern. I twisted my ankle and broke my foot on our driveway. Our driveways are, 2 inches lower than the garage. So there's a big lip. I stepped on the lip sideways and got a Jones fracture. They tell me that's code. I don't know. When I went to my 10-month thing, I said, I think this is dangerous. People are going to fall on this. So many residents have almost done a face plant on that. I don't know if that's the right forum to address it, but somebody maybe could mention it to the city inspectors and see if that really is safe. Also, there's a proposed greenway that's coming through. Is D.R. Horton going to be paying for that portion where the greenway comes through? I don't know. I just think, I'm hoping you'll vote no, but if you vote yes, I certainly hope you'll look at some of these things before you approve it and make sure that they, I hate losing our beauty. Thank you.
Mark Javen.
Mark Shaben. I live within the extra town limit. At the planning meeting, not all the planning board members voted to pass this project through. And I think that what is clear from the community is that despite a good-hearted, good faith effort to draw planning plans in 2035 and 2020, it didn't work. We have ordinances that are not achieving that vision. And I think the fact that the planning meeting and certainly this meeting, the number of people here are testament to that. Certainly we need growth and we need housing in Haywood County. We certainly need affordable housing in Haywood County, but we're not getting what the community sees as acceptable in that respect. So I think you do have a decision to make, which is we need to rethink how we have planned for this. That's a big job. It was a big job when the board managed that earlier. It's a big job again, but it's a job that I think what you're hearing would be worthwhile. I think that you have an opportunity here. And the opportunity is to say, okay, we put in a good effort for a good plan. It's not getting what we need. I don't know exactly what the rules are in terms of how you have to approve an annex or not. The planning board certainly had their hands tied by their guidelines and ordinances. However, you have a chance to say no to this in the sense of let's call essentially a moratorium. Let's rethink how we're doing our planning. I know that the people that show up to things are always only the people who are against whatever is being discussed. But I think if you went out in the community, you would find that it's much more than just the people in this room. So I think you have the opportunity to call pause and it may not be the right way that gets done, but it is an opportunity for that. And give the community and you all an opportunity to craft ordinances that actually get what the community, I think, needs. So thank you.
Kenneth Jackson, is your comments about runoff and waste treatment has to do with the annexation? Or is that a general public comment? Kenneth Jackson?
Probably have to do with everything with it. My name is Kenneth Jackson, and I live in the Crines Cove community. And I want to talk about the annexation. I mean, all these houses and everything is getting crowded here in Waynesville. I know you want progress and everything like that, but there's a lot of traffic over in the Crines Cove area. And for the farmers going across the mountain, I feel their pain. And for me to even get up and speak, I'm a fencer. So, you know, when houses come in, that could be potential for me for work. But I love my Haywood County. I love my mountains. I love my water. I love my trees, clean air, farm animals. And so I come to the phase 1 meeting a while back. Now there was a issue of being at capacity for the waste treatment. So now you're about 500 homes over capacity now. I mean, was the issue done? I mean, did y'all fix the issue since phase 1? I mean, here we are in the phase 2, and you're talking about bringing 100 and some more houses in, and you was already at capacity for your waste treatment in phase 1. So what are you gonna do about that? Like I said, and all these houses, then you'll have your wildlife and everything coming around, then people complaining about the wildlife. Well, where they gonna go to? They ain't got nowhere to go. So I'm just here to say that I love Haywood County. I've been a lifelong resident here, and I love it. I love riding by Raccoon Road, looking at the trees and farmland, the cows. But now I ride by, I see felled trees and a bunch of houses and congestion with traffic. So I would ask to vote no on annexation. I love Waynesville. I love Haywood County. And that's what I've got to say. Thank you.
Brian Manning.
Thank you. I'll be brief. And you might have heard some of these numbers before. 1974, Haywood County had about 91,000 acres of farmland. Less than 50 years later, in 2022, that had dropped to a little over 49,000. That's a 40% loss in less than 50 years. Now, there's not much we can do about the past 50 years, but we're talking about the next 50 years. And you all, tonight, right now, have the authority to make a decision to shape that future. And I hope that having listened to your constituents tonight, you choose responsibly, because I promise you, not many people are going to thank you for turning us into Asheville, but plenty of people will thank you for keeping us becoming Asheville. Thank you.
Okay, that was the end of our public comment. And I'll ask for a motion that we close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion closed.
John made the motion, so I'll second.
All right. Okay, now we can further comment from anyone?
Yep.
Or is it?
You need to vote to close.
You
need
have
to close.
Do what now?
You need to vote to call. We called for close. We first and second, but you have to call for a vote to close.
Okay. All right. Okay, what would be the wishes of the board?
Yep.
Call the vote
Call.
on the closing.
Oh, call, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Now what is the board?
I have some
You have something to put?
thoughts.
You have thoughts?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So, ever since I heard phase 2 might be coming, I've been thinking about it. I've been to the site several times, and I've spent so much time looking at the maps that I know them just about as well as I know the back of my hand. I've even talked with some of the folks who live there.
And here's how I see it. Growth is inevitable, but how we grow is a choice. And the question before us tonight, whether to annex this parcel so another 150 homes can be built on it, is a textbook example of that idea. Annexation is a choice. Annexation is one of the most powerful tools we have, and whether we use it or not will fundamentally shape our community for decades. There's one other thing about annexation. It comes with strings attached. It permanently obligates the town to provide services. So we need to get this right, because in annexation, there are no mulligans. For that reason, I don't think it's enough just to ask whether a proposed development meets the minimum standards. Phase 1 has shown us the difference between meeting the letter of the ordinance and the intent. And I see that every time I turn onto Raccoon Road and come around that bend by the ag station. So this is such an important decision and will affect our community for decades. So I think there are 3 standards we should apply whenever we consider extending municipal services. First, who does the growth serve? We often talk about the need for housing in Waynesville, and that's a real issue. So let's think about how phase 1 fits into that need. Back in December, I started tracking the sales prices of the homes that had been built there. So far, at least 75 of the 115 homes have been sold, and the median sales price is a little over $440,000. At that price, with a 10% down payment, current mortgage rates, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, a family would be looking at a mortgage payment of roughly $3,000 a month. Now, affordability guidelines say you shouldn't spend more than about 30% of your income on housing. By that measure, a family would need to earn about $125,000 a year to afford a home at that price. Waynesville's median household income is $55,000 a year. Now, that by itself doesn't make this development wrong, but it does tell us something important about who it serves. If we are going to justify annexation based on the need for housing, we should be sure that what's being built at least reasonably lines up with the income levels of the community we represent and is not being driven by spillover from nearby higher priced markets. Second, what kind of growth are we choosing? Waynesville has traditionally grown a little at a time, house by house, street by street, different builders, different styles of homes, all woven together into neighborhoods that were stable and built to last. The home I grew up in is a great example of that. In the early 1970s, my parents bought a lot at the edge of an existing neighborhood just up the hill from the lodge. Some of y'all may remember our family business. There wasn't even a street, just a dirt path. And they built their home there, and then a little later on, another family built just beyond them. That's how our neighborhoods grew, incrementally over time. What we're seeing here is completely different. Large subdivisions built all at once, requiring infrastructure to be pushed farther and farther out. That's a different kind of growth than has traditionally shaped Waynesville. And annexation is one of the ways we get to choose which kind of growth we want. Third, what long-term obligations does this create? Annexation isn't just a boundary change. It's a commitment. When we annex property, we agree to provide services: water, sewer, garbage collection, public safety, just to name a few. And those aren't one-time costs. Those are long-term obligations that last forever. Now, we know what happens next. Pipes wear out, pumps fail, and the demand for services continues to grow. And with large subdivisions that are built all at once, those costs don't come due gradually. They come due all at once. That's the financial obligation the town carries into the future. So this isn't just about whether a project works today. It's about whether it still works 20 or 30 years from now. So when I consider this request using those three standards, who does it serve? What kind of growth it reinforces, and the long-term obligations it creates, it becomes clear. This isn't just about approving a development. It's about deciding what kind of community we want to be, and not just for today, but for decades from now. Growth is inevitable, but how we grow is on us. I vote no.
Okay, in order to move this along, someone needs to either make a motion in favor or against. I'll wait on someone to make that motion.
I move that we annex the property under consideration.
I've got a motion to annex the property.
Second.
I've got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign.
No.
There's one no. Thank you. We'll take about a 5-minute recess. We got a lot more to do this afternoon.
That's your golden child. Good job, guys. Good job.
And that's
We live in Valley.
It'll come along. It can't be done overnight.
Okay.
You don't get a chance, but I have some young friends who live there. They got 4.5% and they pay $10,000 to listen. And they're in for paying just a little more than they would have. For a 3-bedroom, you're paying $2,100.
Thank you. I appreciate your remarks. I really do.
Although I think we're gonna get you a better, maybe a better info. Sure, you may.
Thank you. Appreciate your remarks. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, sure. Wow. That's, well, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your remarks. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
John Queen decided to sell. They didn't decide to sell. So John Queen is a responsible person.
And Mr. Clark, you did the right, you've got your farms and farmland preservation. I think I did that for you.
Yeah, but I couldn't move.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I hope
Thank
y'all
you.
know her.
Appreciate it.
I don't think we can go back and do much. This area has been in the plans for development for 25 years. And oh, no, I didn't think you were complaining. No, I thought your words were good. Are you doing okay? Read about your paper. Still the health director. You practice?
So, yeah.
I retired about 3 years ago. Well, maybe it's going on 4 now. I don't know. Anyway, thanks.
Hey, Dr. David, how are you? Good. Yourself? Well, I was just telling Chuck I'm vertical in one of these, so I count that as being a. You fully retired now? No. Yeah. Well, it depends on your definition. Yeah. So one of the things, this is the definition of being retired, is when you want to take time away, you don't have to find somebody to cover for you. Are you still practicing? I'm the medical director of the health department. Okay. But I'm not doing it clinical. Okay. Okay, you're still doing that? Yeah.
So what does that mean you do?
Well,
I'm sorry.
it's policy development.
That would be the kind of stuff.
And just stuff comes up, you know, there'll be cases of things that are not really clear, by the guidelines that they should do, and so on. And then, you know, you pay them a lot of public. Oh, yeah. It was a nightmare for us. Pardon me?
was a nightmare here.
And you know, we've had for the last 2
I'm telling you
years.
guys, John Queen is the person who did this.
I've been asking them the other day.
Our buildings have to do under law. If they meet all those stipulations. I don't like it any, I don't like it any more than you do, to be honest.
Yeah, they're doing, yeah.
That's how we got it.
Multiple counties, I hate it even the same way y'all do.
And you know, it's interesting, since we started doing that, well, actually, since the police department started doing more things, our homeless population, we discovered is really about 50 people, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's not as many as thought.
Yeah. And they're coming from, and officers know all of them, and try to help them out.
Well, and
We've
that-
not had the complaints like we used to.
Oh, yeah. It's a part of the homeless folks more cognizant of their position in the community. I'll just put it that way. I think some have left too. But.
I think some of them are cognizant of the fact that they don't want to home.
Oh, yeah. Well, some people can't make it. All right, well, a large percentage of them.
Places, I'm sure, out there.
Yeah, sure. Pathways has done a great job. Yeah.
And I don't know, moving the food place out of.
I know that was a major start.
Yeah, it just.
That was just, we can't hang out. Hang out all day, 2 meals. Well, you know, that's the community policing, you know. Policing the people who make. That'll never go out of style. You gotta have it. Basic level. Anyway.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Appreciate your remarks. And, you know, if I knew how to keep a deal on that now, I would. It's kind of sticky to say you can't, you know, you can't do this.
Yes. Yes. Well, I think what disappointed me is that I
We can't.
stated publicly
The
why I chose it. What I expected was the flip side of that is them to tell us why they supported it, and that didn't happen at all.
To a certain level. Got a report by the chamber of the close to 2,000 homes for people that earn more than
I
And
was
then the other
kind
thing we
of,
didn't talk about is the fact that.
yeah. Well, that makes two.
Said we're for you. We're paying $1,900 a month for I've got a couple that I know that live there. They got a 4.5% a year. And they all pay $10,000 closing costs. They give people a better dignity than they can get anywhere. So they're able to get in. So they're getting too close to what they were written something that the Cavallo apartment.
John Queen.
I don't know. It's a lot. Prices are.
We don't. Yeah, I know. So we're going to get started here with the rest of our agenda. We got a long ways to go tonight. So I'm going to go back and read the calendar. On the calendar, you got April the 17th through the 18th, Appalachian True Heritage Festival on Main Street. And Tuesday, April 28th.
Come to order.
April the 28th, Town Council regular meeting will be here, Town Hall. The next part of the agenda is
Do we at the
additions or deletions. There we have an amendment this afternoon, correct?
No, we did the amendment already, Mayor. We need to
Okay.
move on to the consent
Well,
agenda, please.
are we gonna do additions or deletions?
Right, there's one addition, I think
There is an addition.
Uh,
to allow the Winslow Fire Department to.
Yes.
Yeah,
I move that we add that,
Okay, good.
agenda item.
Thank you.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second, Anthony, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay,
And if, in regards to the consent agenda, I'd ask that we pull item C and D. And the reason is we're going to be considering fee schedule for festivals and street closures. And
Okay.
it's not that I don't want to approve these, and I certainly will, but I just want to make sure we have our fee schedule in place.
okay. All right, we're pulling item C from the consent agenda.
And D, I believe, unless.
C and D.
It's,
correct.
So do you intend to hear it tonight?
No.
No.
So we're
Take it.
pulling this to the
no,
next
I'm
agenda?
pulling it and asking that it be put on another
Okay,
session.
I just
Maybe
want
a-
to make sure. I
Maybe a
understand.
month from now. I'm not sure when we're going to get our fee schedule figured out.
It'll be part of your budget, but you can do fees anytime you want to.
Okay. Well, I think those are going to be special that we're going to have to look at, so.
Okay.
Then perhaps June, the second meeting in June, to be safe, you'll have adopted a budget by then.
Right. And that's in plenty of time for these people. What is the stepping into spring thing?
Stepping into spring is a very small closure on Depot Street.
Okay, well, I'm fine not pulling that one then. So let's just pull the Apple Harvest Festival.
Okay. All right.
And approve the rest of the consent agenda.
Yes, yeah, and approve the rest of it. So I'll make that motion to take out C and approve all the other items.
All right. Need a second?
Second.
Second from Anthony. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, show like sign. Okay, we move right along. We got a proclamation from our Mayor Pro Tem, the Standability Board.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And where now it's observed throughout the nation and the world, whereas trees reduce erosion of topsoil, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood, fuel, countless other products. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance economic vitality, and beautify our community. Whereas trees, wherever they're planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Gary Caldwell, Mayor of Waynesville, do proclaim April 22nd, 2026 as Arbor Day in the town of Waynesville, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Thank you, sir.
And I also noticed that Bill Skelton is planting a tree at the,
There is a tree planting day at the rec center, the rec park right here, the ball field.
on April 22nd, I believe, on Arbor Day. So,
Do you have your board already put in place by then?
hopefully, yeah,
Hopefully, yeah. Okay.
if you vote for them tonight.
Yeah, if it goes tonight, correct? All right, we move on to old business. We got a special event permitting fees. Jesse Fowler.
Candace.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor, Council. So at the last meeting, I brought forward the costs of all of our special events. I have those here again for you guys if you want them, just to kind of refresh your memory. I've got these, just to say the word. So what I've been doing is kind of scoping around the state of North Carolina and looking at different fee schedules. If you look at the manager's comments of this agenda, I kind of want to open this up for discussion, because during my kind of soft research, I'll call it, the differences in fees and structures vary wildly throughout the state. I will say I was not comfortable including a fee inside of this proposal to you guys that was greater than the highest fee in the state that I could find without itemizing things, which was $500. There's several different types of ways that you can structure different special event fees, how they do it throughout the state. Many of them will do tier-based systems based off attendance. I don't recommend that. It's kind of an arbitrary number, and it's hard to tell who and what or where. Another way that they do it is an itemized list, and some of them do it as a hybrid of the tiers and items. So an example of that would be, I think in Charlotte, what they say is if you're a tier 5, you pay this much money, no questions for the special event fee. And then we count up how many barricades, how many cops, how many firefighters, all that kind of stuff. I would recommend against doing that too. We don't have really the staff to do that. There's one person that kind of manages these fees. And so what I came up with was a category system of tiers with two caveats. One, we're getting a brand new stage soon. If anybody wants to rent that, I would like for them to be able to rent that for a price. Also, football games, I kind of threw those out there because I think those are special, if you would. So I tiered these out. The prices, I would ask, just kind of set those aside for a second. But the tiers, Mr. Dixon, the stepping into spring event that you just asked about, that would kind of fall under tier 1. It's a minor barricade deployment. We put them out a couple days before. The event holder actually wheels those barricades out into place. And we may fill 1 or 2 of them if we need to. There's an event that's on Lowell Street every year. They kind of do that. Tier 2's rolling road closures. That's on the low end of the spectrum here because they use on patrol staff that's already on duty. Those events that use those closures are typically very quick, and it's not a lot of staff time that we wouldn't have been paying them otherwise. And then you get into road closures like festivals, Apple Festival, Appalachian Festival. And then I put the races at the end because even though like a 5K race, we're not doing a lot of closures and we're not doing a lot of hard stops anywhere throughout town and a lot of barricade deployments, it takes a tremendous amount of staff to do them, even for a 5K. So a 5K is 3.1 or 3.1, like 2.8 miles. So I tiered that out so that anything underneath that, so up to 3 miles is a tier 4. And then anything 5K and above is tier 5. That would mean like the Main Street Mile would be a tier 4, but the SOAR 5K would be a tier 5. I kind of mentioned that the highest fee that we saw in the state when we were looking around was about $500 plus itemized fees, which I don't think we have the staff to be able to cope with that. I will say that the fees and the special events in general cost us much more than that. So I kind of want to have a discussion. In your agenda packets, you'll see that I kind of tiered these out in costs in these ranges that seemed similar without running through any models to where these other tiers were, taking into account that most of the tiers throughout the state are based off of attendance and ours are based off categories. And so I kind of want to have a discussion about what you would like me to come back with when it comes to these fees. I could charge, or I could come to the council with something like maximum 500 or above for some of these more labor intensive special events. Something like the neighborhood events, I wouldn't recommend really charging anything. It doesn't cost as much to do that. And I think it's a big benefit to the community, like Auburn Park, when we just kind of wheel out on these minor streets, these barricades for them.
Let me ask a question. Those when I look at the barricades where we have to fill the barrels with water, that's a much more time-consuming kind of.
Yeah, but it's kind of exponential. So if we've got to send out, and it becomes exponential in time once we have to get by 1 truck. So if you've got 2 barricades out there, like on Stepping into Spring, we like to fill up the bottom 2 at the intersection of Montgomery and Depot. You can fill those up pretty quick. Cody left. I don't blame him. We can fill those pretty quick, but once you deploy a bunch of barricades, let's say, 10 barricades, then you got to go back and fill the truck up, and then you got to come back. And so then you're running into this. It starts to really increase the amount of time and effort.
And then the other thing is when we have to park big vehicles.
It takes a fire truck out of commission. It takes. Most of the time, we don't use fire trucks for stationary blockades. We'll use our boom trucks, or we'll use our brush trucks. They're huge. They've got giant metal sides, and
But
they're
still,
not as
someone's
pretty.
having to move the truck, and
You got to pay that person.
things with it.
And then typically, what we've started doing is having them hang out at those events, doing other chores, if you would, in labor while they're there. But there's been several times where we need to move that truck. There was one instance 2 years ago where a volunteer actually got into the boom truck and moved it. That'd have been pretty expensive if they'd hit something.
Liability there.
Yep.
I think the other thing we need to look at certainly is nonprofits when we're dealing with.
I didn't include the nonprofit discount because I didn't know what you guys wanted from that. There are,
It's hard when there's something like one of the road races that's costing us thousands of dollars and they really don't have much. They're just raising it for charity. So I'm not, Rob has suggested in the past that we maybe collect something, but not very much, but that be shown as an sponsor of the event.
Right.
To give us some credit for what we're doing. So that's one way of looking at it. I don't know if we could just discourage the road races. That'd be the best thing to do.
well, one of them moved already. We actually did. We got one of them out.
Oh, good.
So
Okay.
they're not, I think the SOAR, I can't remember which one it is. They're moving out to Bethel.
You know, and as our greenway gets more and more complete, we can keep folks off the streets.
Road races are really difficult on us. I mean, our staffing levels were at least, I haven't had to do this in a while, but for the first 2 years, I was having to man intersections, 2 intersections.
Or if you could contain them to the rec center area where it
Right.
be a lot simpler, to.
Use of the greenway and.
We have a 5K course plotted at the rec center.
Well, and certainly maybe we should charge that way. We could tell them, use the rec center or.
From a staff's perspective,
paid,
I would say yes, because we're spending a lot of time and effort in this. And it doesn't seem on the outside like this takes a lot of time and it doesn't take a lot of effort, but we spend many, many hours planning for all these, especially once like next month hits. It's just a quarter of my job and everybody else's job that does this for the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay. Anyone else got questions? Anthony, you have a question for?
I do not. I think I appreciate your work. There was one thing that I'd asked in the last meeting was to provide the last date of each of those events.
Sorry.
That's fine.
I didn't
That's
do
fine.
that. Yeah.
But before I really want to get an idea of how many were actually, how much it's really cost.
Or if you think they're not
Well, I
gonna
can tell
occur.
you just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Folk Moot, we haven't done that in a while, but it depends on where they're at.
Like we're spending at least $50,000.
Oh, yes. Yeah, most of these, almost everything on this list happens every year.
Right.
I think the Oasis Shriners Spring Parade is new. One of the 5Ks moved out. And the Main Street Mile, we haven't done in a while, but I'm getting inquiries now. I've gotten an inquiry twice now to do the Main Street Mile, which I haven't responded yet. I give him a permit. If he wants to do it, he can do it.
I really like the idea of nonprofits paying something, but we becoming a sponsor of the event.
And then we didn't talk about the ball games. I mean, there's 2 ways to handle that. One would be for the school system to hire the officers directly. And we wouldn't even have to be involved in it.
We have a way to do that.
And maybe that would be the simplest way. That allows them to make some extra money. We're not paying for overtime.
That's a great idea. The school would
And
also pay
it's
for
a
the price
higher
of the vehicle. We use a federal mileage rate for that on the special assignment contract.
Yes.
But if we could look into that, it's not that we need the money. We just don't want to have to pay the police to.
Overtime's a
If they can make it
big
themselves.
deal right now.
Pardon me?
Overtime's a very big deal right now.
But I'm sure that they make more per hour for special events than they do. I don't
On
know what the hourly rate is.
the police.
Yes,
Oh yeah, their special assignment contracts are well negotiated by the police department.
good, as they should be.
Well, can we ask the police department to start doing that?
I can, yes, we
contact
can
the
do
school
that. So
system and-
the only reason we haven't is because typically those special assignments have just been not for any real purpose or reason, but those are used a lot with DOT. DOT needs a lot of help with all the construction, so we send them out with these special assignment contracts. They pay the officers directly, and they pay us back for the vehicle and mileage.
Do we have a system for our police department, kind of like other municipalities in the area where a private can contract for police officers?
Walmart does that.
Yep.
I know in our adjoining county, I don't want to say the name, you can go online and request.
I hear you make $300,000 a year.
They can make yes.
I would like to know
Overtime from the city.
from the council, kind of,
Just
because this is,
kidding.
I was struggling when I was doing this, for lack of better terms. I just don't know where y'all's heads are. What would be, as we're structuring this, your cap? What would you see as your cap, your highest fee? Because like I said, when I was going through this, I thought it was going to be pretty easy to find some local municipalities and some big municipalities like we always do as bureaucrats, and then we kind of put those in a soup. And it was just wildly all over the place. If I had a cap, what you folks are comfortable with, I could bring you back a very good fee
So
structure.
races 5K and greater, $500.
Is that enough?
That's as high as I would.
Yeah, fair.
Is that fair, John?
And then street closures on Main Street, what's the cap on, what's the thing on that one? I mean, I'm looking at one like the Apple Festival, where they make a fair amount of money. They charge booth rentals, which are twice as much as we charge for our.
I would
stuff.
say 500 for nonprofit, for-profit, and like 200 for nonprofit with a sponsorship.
Well, we can certainly start
Or-
this way.
And if
or
no,
zero for
if no
nonprofit.
sponsorship, then you pay normal rate.
Right.
And what was that number again?
200 for, just to throw it out there, we can.
Yeah.
I will dump this into some kind of analytics to figure it out.
There's a lot of different types of variables in it. So like there wasn't a whole lot of folks that categorized their tiers.
And you could get this could get very
Yeah.
complicated very
yeah.
quickly.
And I agree with trying to make it simple, and
Yeah.
we're not going to get everything by doing that, because there are some that use a whole lot more barricades, all that kind of stuff.
And then you get others like the Hazelwood boosters who do a lot of the work themselves.
Right.
Well, we help.
And closing Hazelwood Avenue and Hazelwood is a
Help.
very different
Right, exactly.
proposition than closing Main Street and several
exactly.
streets through the Main Street district.
Well, and I think with all these, we use the civilian police as much as we can.
Right.
Really.
Their primary directive is traffic control. So the civilian police are very good at controlling intersections, and they're really good at kind of having a presence in their uniforms during closed events. It's nice to have somebody there. Perfect example, I think 3 years ago, a kid got lost, and so they were able to kind of swarm and find the kid really quickly. She was spinning in a circle out in front of Mass General Store. She won a prize, and she was scared, and she didn't want to take it, so she ran away.
Okay. You good with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
John, you got anything to add with it? Okay.
So I've got, the cap for the 5Ks or greater is 500. I'll work with that. I've got road closures and festivals set to 250. And that's enough for me to kind of fill the gaps in.
All right. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Item 6, got a resolution authorizing acceptance of a SRF loan grant for Kenton Clyde Waynesville Emergency Water Connect. Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I brought you some other material on the water interconnect that all of the towns in the county are working on to provide emergency water to and from Canton and Waynesville. And we've applied individually for state revolving loans. And with our loan of $2,084,960, the state has approved $16,401,498. We've also applied for another $750,000 and have requested the county for $2 million, bringing the budget almost to $20 million. These loans are loans in name only, in a sense, because they have 100% principal forgiveness. The only thing we'll pay is a 2% loan administration fee, which we may use the proceeds of the loan to pay the one-time fee. It's a project that will probably take 3 to 4 years. But I think it'll be vital to the cities. And eventually, I suspect that Asheville Buncombe's water system will connect with Canton's, meaning we'll have a full water interconnect all the way from Asheville to Waynesville. So what we're requesting right now is that you adopt a resolution accepting this loan offer of the state for $2,084,960. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah,
about
I
the
have 3,
interconnect.
but I'll let you.
Well, no, I was gonna say, so, we've got 2 million, this is the loan we're getting, and that's more for planning and I suppose, what do we use that for?
So it's, I can't explain why the state wants to do it this way, but it's one project. And it's, and we have currently got basically pledged $18,401,498. That's includes engineering, design, land acquisition, and construction.
Okay, total cost of the project. Then the additional 2 million you want from the county,
That's correct.
it is also for the total project.
That's correct.
And then the
we're hoping
750,000,
is supposedly coming in this grant cycle that they're going to announce in the next couple of weeks.
okay, so we should get that. I'm asking, what if we don't finish the project? I guess is what if for some reason something went awry, and would we then have a loan that would not be forgiven?
Well, basically, the resolution says that if it all falls apart, the 3 cities have to pay it back. But if it doesn't work, then we would simply be on the line for the money that we've asked the state to forward to us for the project.
So what we've actually used.
That's right. This is payments that are usually they're paid in arrears, like we did the sewer plant, but because some of these construction bills will be over $1 million, the state is going to allow the 3 cities to get money advanced to them so that they can pay the contractor and then apply for a reimbursement from the state with money that the state has fronted us.
Okay, so 2 more questions. Has the county definitely committed to the 2 million?
The county commissioners have not.
Mm-hmm. Do we?
We anticipate that they will.
Okay, so we're hopeful for that. But this would probably happen along with the contract with the 2 towns. That would all happen before we start using the money. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I've drafted, we did a water connect between Statesville and Salisbury, a 25-mile water interconnect, and the attorneys for Salisbury and Statesville wrote a water connect agreement, and I used that agreement as a basis to form up a agreement. And the 3 managers have been and I have been working on that for a month. And right now the county's got it, and they're acting kind of as a disinterested third party to draft the final water interconnect agreement. All 3 towns will have to approve it, and if they don't, then we'll simply refuse the loans and send them back.
He partially answered mine because one was which governing body is responsible for the draft, and it appears that you've done
I did
the heavy
draft.
lifting.
I did the draft because I've done one before.
Right.
So I used the Statesville Salisbury interconnect agreement as the basis.
Okay. Is it correct that the engineering report is due July the 15th?
That is correct. However, the state, we've notified the state that that's not a realistic date, and they've agreed to move it into the early summer.
Okay, that was the next step.
The engineering report, I suspect, would be due somewhere around 915.
And do you know who bears the 2% administration fee?
Each individual town has to pay 2% of the loan proceeds on any SRF funds we had. We paid 2% for the $29 million we got to the sewer plant, but we may use the proceeds of the loan to pay these.
And you as always amaze me that you know the answers to my questions.
You said each pays 2%, but I mean, we're not gonna pay more than 2% of the 20 million or whatever.
No. We are only paying 2% of 2,084,960.
And, and, okay, and that'll come out of the lines. I
That's
mean, it's just
correct.
2%, not 2% for each town.
That's all.
2%.
That's all I have.
2%.
It comes out of the loan.
And if you approve this tonight, the next thing I'll be bringing you will be the agreement between the three towns.
I move we approve the resolution authorizing the acceptance of the SRF loan grant for the emergency water interconnect.
I'll second.
Okay, got a second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, the next order of business here is allow Waynesville Fire Department to seek a 2-cent fire tax increase. Chris, you speak on that behalf?
Silver tongue devil.
That's this one.
I apologize for my casual dress. This was kind of a last minute thing to step in for our finance director. As you can imagine, he's a little busy right now. So this is something that's been discussed off and on for a while. If you remember a couple years ago when we purchased the new truck in Hazelwood, we had just lowered our insurance rating for our outside fire districts. As a way to pay for that, make that loan payment on that engine, we asked to raise our outside fire district tax because we figured that it would be enough to make that payment yearly. So you approved that, the county approved that. So we did that. And then since this whole issue with FEMA and us looking for revenues, one of the things that the finance director approached me about was going up on our outside tax again. And doing some rough math, and I know this is apples to oranges, folks inside the city would be paying roughly about 18 cents per hundred on a dollar. If we were looking at it the same way that we looked at the outside, where right now they're paying 8 cents. So he would like to propose that we go up to 10 cents per hundred. Also going back several months when the county had that issue where they forgot to back out the farmland off the tax rolls, that gave some of the fire districts a huge bump in their revenue that year. And then this year they caught that error and backed that out. So some of them were facing some pretty big cuts to their budget. So one of the things that we meet as county fire chiefs, we met, and one of the things the county manager came, explained the situation. I think to us it only amounted to about a $6,000 loss for us, but places like Crabtree, where the majority of their district was farmland, it was over half their budget. So it was a huge hit. So one of the things that we talked about as fire chiefs was, and with Brian Moorhead, the county manager, was going up on those tax rates. Most of the folks were already around 8, so about everybody decided to go up to 10 anyway. We just kind of do it inside. We don't try to really get involved with the county side. So, but solidarity wise, we were talking about that. We hadn't moved forward with it, but now it kind of looks like that. We will not be alone. About every fire district in the county is asking or has already asked for to go up to 10 cents. I can tell you Junaluska, Crabtree, Clyde, Crusoe, help me out here, Jonathan Creek, and I'm sure most of them. I know all of our neighbors, with the exception of Sawnook, have went up on their rate to 10. So, and some are even more than that already. So we would not be alone. We will not be the only fire department going up on that outside area this year. We'll pretty much the entire county would be. So, Ian didn't get all the numbers ran, but from thinking back a couple years, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about 35,000 per cent. So we're talking about around $70,000. And it may be more now, but I didn't have those figures yet. So, but he wanted me to come up here and ask your blessing for us, because as a board, you have to approve that, and then we'll have to go and get that approved at the county level. They're going to, but as a formality. Yes, sir.
Oh, no, I was going to say this resolution, I'm not sure that we need to adopt this. I think we need to make a motion to request that the county increase the rural fire district. Tax
Well, it's
donation.
actually the way that the county is set up. So if we compared ourselves to, say, Sawnuke Fire Department, they
Okay, so
have
we're
their
a
own.
fire district. Okay.
Right. They have a board that approves all that. So you would be that de facto fire board.
Okay,
So
we
you would have
adopt
to
the
approve it.
increase then.
Yeah,
Okay.
you would have to do it, and then we would ask the county for that.
I move we adopt the resolution of striking the headline of the heading for it, which talks about stormwater, and change the heading there somehow. But I move we adopt this ordinance, this resolution.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall I say? You're good. Okay, we move on to item 7 of April 2026 SRF application draw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This does not in any way involve the interconnect. So let's separate that project from what I'm about to talk about. Let me bring you up to date. The state has offered this town $14,990,000 in SRF funds at 100% principal forgiveness to raise above the 500-year flood stage the Little Champion junction box and the junction box within the town sewer plant. That's where all the sewer lines, the sewer outfalls come directly into the plant. The loans you've already received will fund the design and construction of part of a new septic hauler receiving station and provide environmentally friendly UV disinfection to replace the chlorine as a disinfectant. We'd also move that station above the 100-year flood stage because it flooded during Helene. The spring SRF loan cycle would offer us the opportunity to increase our flood resiliency, and so your staff proposes the following, and this is the April loan period. The proposed project for this application provides additional waste treatment resiliency and protection for future flood events and improves the plant's ability to manage and treat high wet weather flows and septic waste. The project includes converting 2 previously decommissioned primary clarifiers for aerated flow equalization and aerated sludge holding. It flood-proofs and upgrades 3 process pump stations. It installs bypass piping to provide flow equalization from the primary clarifiers to the equalization tank, and it rehabilitates the decommissioned bar screen so that we can install an upstream so that we can install the septic waste receiving station. That station will allow us to do several things. One is to measure the flow from the trucks so that we can charge by the 100 gallons. And secondly, that bar stream will be placed back into service, and it will separate the septic flows and separate the grease, because we get a considerable amount of grease from our septic haulers. The project also includes upgrading the reuse water system with a filtration system and associated pumps and enhanced proposed septic receiving. Again, we're asking for 100% principal forgiveness, and this would also, of course, have the 2% loan fee. What we'd ask you for is two things. This agenda item is to approve a resolution authorizing the town to apply for these grants. And we'll, should you decide to do this, I'll catch you on the next agenda item about adding items and passing a resolution approving an amended capital improvements plan that has to go with the grants. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's my understanding that we're the only ones accepting septic in the
That's right.
region, and we're getting some as far away as Tennessee.
Yeah.
So this will allow us to charge different rates.
That's right. Now
In town and out of
That's right.
town.
Regardless of what we do, we'll evaluate what our neighbors in the state are charging for septic, and that rate is going to go up. I promise you.
Oh, I'm sure.
We're charging by the truck right now,
And not the gallon.
and so a 2,000 gallon truck, we charge the same as a 10,000 gallon truck. We haven't touched septic waste since I've been here as far as a fee, and that you'll see an amended fee schedule, regardless of of where we are in this process of building a septic receiving station.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Rob concerning this?
I move we approve the resolution authorizing the town to apply for the spring SRF grant loan.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Second from John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, approve a resolution amending 25-26 water and sewer capital improvement plans.
So Laura's been working with McGill Engineering to determine the value of the cost of these projects, and the capital improvement plan that's in your agenda reflects the projects that I mentioned in the previous resolution. What this resolution does is simply amend your current capital improvements plans to add those new projects. The state requires this to be done by resolution.
Do we have a resolution number?
Thought you did.
The blue spreadsheet.
So I've got it.
You got the resolution?
Don't tell me I'm the only one that got one, because I wrote it.
So to be fair, I'm out of the office last week, so you.
There you go.
Out of my head.
See, it doesn't have the resolution number.
We don't have the resolution number because she hadn't signed it.
Okay, perfect. Then
I wrote it, I didn't give it to you.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution amending the capital improvement plan for water and sewer.
Okay, got a motion by Anthony,
Second.
second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. So ordered. Authorization for installation of an 8-inch sewer main on Balsam Edge subdivision. Miss Laura,
How y'all doing tonight?
I know you're tired and wore out.
It's my birthday, so I couldn't spend it a better way, right?
Aren't you glad you're an engineer, not a planner?
I'm here to request an authorization to proceed with the installation of an 8-inch sewer main to serve the Balsam Edge subdivision on Howell Mill Road. As a reminder, in February 2023, council approved to grant the developer approximately $386,000 to support the project. The goal was to extend the sewer infrastructure across Howell Mill Road along Able Lane, utilizing 2 directional bores, and to connect the subdivision with the town's existing sewer system. Some of that's 4-inch line that's going to have to get changed out to 8-inch line along that as well. The project ensures that the development not only supports them having the wastewater system, but was granted because they're going to be providing low-income housing to the community. And while our department does have the capability of installing portions of this, we don't have the equipment to do the directional bores and it was going to need to get engineered because it also has to get permitted by the state because Howell Mill Road is a state road. So those portions of the project cannot be done in-house. The guys on the water and sewer crews are currently pretty much installing 12 water meters a day over at the Valleywood property. And we're now being required to remove all the galvanized and lead piping throughout the town. And I just found out about another major leak we have going on over in church of the Charlies. So, and that is not an intersection that I want to touch with a 10-foot pole, but saying that we are now using about 1 million extra gallons of water a day at the water treatment plant. We definitely have more leaks than we can handle, and that was just an increase in 1 year. So anyway, back on subject. So we're requesting this funding to be transferred as it was promised back in 2023. It would come out of the sewer fund balance, and we're looking for $400,000 to be allocated. Does anyone have any questions?
I do have a question.
Shoot.
You can, I usually try to ask these before. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Is the directional boring scope under Howell Mill Road included in all three bids or only some? Because the Chauncey bid references 2 directional bores, but the item description says boring under Howell Mill Road and Sunoco Plastics.
Those are the 2. So it's
Okay.
the driveway of Sunoco Plastics. We're going to come down Abel Lane with an installation of the 8-inch and the removal of the 4. And then we're going to directional bore under Sunoco
Okay,
Plastics
plastics,
driveway
okay.
because we don't want to take them out of service. And then we're going to directional bore across Howell Mill Road. We're not going to directional bore directly across because the depth that we need, the road goes up at that point,
Yes,
and
it
it's
does.
right in front of that house. And in order for us to have the line go down, we're going to be 12 or 13 feet down right in front of that structure. And there's also a gas main right there that I
Just make it simple as
don't want
possible,
to
right?
have anything to do with, so.
I just wanted to make sure we were comparing apples
Yes,
to apples.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And we're working in coordination with the engineer for the apartment complex.
Yeah, we're looking at hiring CDC. They're the ones who designed the on-site improvements. I figured timing wise, it'd be best to be working directly with their engineer as they had already done all the surveying and engineering up into that point. And they would also probably be more inclined to work quickly with us because they're the ones being held up.
They will
This-
also be applying for the encroachment permit on our behalf.
And I think this one's for Rob. There was a grant in 2021 for $306,750. Do you know if that's still available?
I'm not sure when you say a grant, the town board approved the project in 2023
Okay.
for $386,000. And so that's,
I'm gonna have to ask there was some grant for $306,750.
That's what was in that's what was in the hearing on
That's,
January 20, well, I guess it was the second week in February, but the request came from them and they listed it as a grant and they listed it for
that's where that came
$306,750.
from.
But what happened was after you guys had the meeting, you guys got actual engineering
Quote, and that was for
quotes,
the 386.
and then that's when
Okay.
it went up to the 386.
Thank you.
So we didn't agree to give them any money. We just agreed to do the project.
That's correct.
Okay.
And again, for the public, this is the mountain housing opportunities.
84
Affordable housing.
Affordable
It's true
housing.
affordable housing.
Yeah. Just we're all with affordable housing.
Just to throw that out.
Okay, all right, guys, I'll need a motion here to get this going for Laura. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to authorize the use of third-party contractor Chauncey to complete a project in a timely and efficient manner for the quoted amount of $258,740.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, got a motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show that sign.
And you have the corresponding budget amendment, I think, at your table to approve transferring that money from the general fund balance to the water and sewer, to the sewer fund.
You're never allowed to go out of town ever again. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Miss Laura.
So we need to approve the budget amendment as
That's
well.
correct.
I'll make a
I just want
motion.
to thank you personally for what you do with the employees over there at Public Works. I hear from those guys. They totally respect you. They totally respect you. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $258,740.
Okay. We already did that.
That we approved the
Contract.
contract.
Oh,
Now we
the
have to
contract.
do
Okay, all right,
You adopt the contract and you got paid.
all right. I need a second. Second, but Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. All right, thank you so much. We are moving.
Yes.
I'm hurting and I'm hungry.
Yes.
I got a big old gash. Dermatologist took this thing out of my chest.
Sorry, Mayor.
I am hurt.
But I'm with you.
I'm
on
sorry I
the
keep
100.
asking questions.
Not to hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on to requests for council approval to apply for a grant to update the town of Waynesville's comprehensive pedestrian plan. That would be Alex Mumby and Miss Oga.
Good evening again. Town of Waynesville has a comprehensive pedestrian plan that was adopted in February 2010. So this document serves as a guiding document for the development, construction, and maintenance of its pedestrian infrastructure, which includes sidewalks, trails, greenways. Originally adopted in 2010, the plan includes designated areas for pedestrian infrastructure, identifies the gaps, the funding opportunities, the standards, accessibility, design, and addresses how these facilities interact with other modes of transportation, such as public transport or bike. As with most comprehensive plans, a pedestrian plan should be updated periodically. The funding hasn't always been available, and right now there is a current grant opportunity through NCDOT, Integrated Mobility Division, for local governments to update the plan. And we do qualify because our plan is more than 5 years old. Based on our population, our potential award is $49,000 to update our plan. However, there is a required 20% local government match, which in our case would be $9,800. We did submit the budget request for the upcoming fiscal year for that. However, staff will also try to find alternative sources for this match. We'll do our best to find sources such as through Medford grant or TDA. The grant applications were due on April 13th. And we will know if we were awarded this grant in June. We went ahead and submitted the application with a draft resolution of council support, but in order for us to be able to accept the grant, we would have to have this resolution approved by the town council for us to proceed with the grant. So this is our request for today. Thank you.
Okay, so Alex applied without us. Huh?
Yeah, but this will allow us to apply, once we have this will allow us to apply for other grants. It's a requirement for some grants.
It's requirement,
So-
yes. So with this one, we had to apply because as we weren't waiting on it, as soon as we got notice from the Land of Sky that the window is open, the window is very short. We didn't have time to even come,
Oh,
but
it's
the submission
It was open and
allowed,
closed before we could get it.
Yeah.
but the submission allowed for draft resolutions to be attached to application.
And just to add that if council decides not to approve the resolution, we'll just withdraw our application.
Please don't do that. I move that we approve applying for the grant that we approve retroactively for applying for the grant to update the comprehensive pedestrian plan.
You tired, Chuck?
I would prefer someone else. would say.
All right, got a motion by
Because I'll have
Chuck.
to vote on this.
Come on.
Second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay. Thank you
Council,
guys
For the grant.
for a tremendous job. We move on to item 11, appointment of members to the tree board. You already read the Arbor thing before we.
Right, the Arbor Day thing, but this is to appoint 7 members to the new tree board. And we had about 17 applications.
There were 17.
Really?
And they were so qualified. So, and it was really hard to choose. What happened is the members of the Urban Forestry Subcommittee or committee all looked at their choices. Anthony weighed in with the help of
The great, yes. the
Anthony
great-
weighed in with his choices. And let's see, it seems like there was and there was another member of the ESB that weighed in with some choices. So
I sent a summary to everybody.
right, and and all the applications were sent to everybody. The proposed candidates, and I would make that motion, are Alexander Byers, Richard Garrett Thomason, Cheryl Waters Tomey, David Ford, Kelly Danes, and Carl Martin, and then Kate Kirkman as the ESB member being appointed to the board. So I would move that we appoint those folks. And there's a person in the audience that applied, and she was very qualified also. And I'm almost embarrassed not to put you on the board, but there will be many opportunities
I'm
for
sorry,
you,
what
Deborah.
was your name? Yes.
Yeah, you got some votes too. So anyway, I would propose that we appoint those members to the tree board.
Okay, got a motion by Chuck, second
Second.
by Anthony. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, thanks, Chuck and Anthony, for
I hope it didn't embarrass you, but
Your
help me
work.
out there.
on this.
But thank you for applying.
Forming this
Really,
committee.
it was amazing, the applications we had. It was something.
We have all kinds of
Unbelievable.
openings every so often, so please
Please,
keep an eye
you
on.
have some.
We would love to have you. Just see, all you gotta do is see Kansas.
Because if I recall, you have some skills that would be
Yeah, Kansas will
right
take care of it.
somewhere else.
Okay, we move on to item 12, request for economic incentives for the 60 senior living apartments on Hall Top Road. Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You pretty much made the presentation for me. Bobby Funk, who's Director of Mills Construction, Development Director of Mills Construction, requests that the town council approve incentives to aid in financing a 60-unit senior living apartment development on Hall Top Road. The incentives will aid the developer in paying its system development fees, which we charge for water and sewer. As you know, all incentives are paid by the general fund, and the enterprise funds are prohibited from doing this. His request would be for $68,172, which it's not a great deal of money for an incentive. However, you're required by the statutes to hold a public hearing on all incentives. So your staff's request at this time is that you set a public hearing for the next meeting to consider this incentive request.
I move that we do that.
Okay, got a motion by Chuck,
Second.
second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Okay, move on. Item 13, manager's report. You have anything for us today?
That's just a little bit. I know that y'all are almost sweating blood. I originally told you that WNC Paving would be coming in the second week of May and work through the second or third week of June. The good news is they are here. They're ahead of schedule. They started work on Boyd Avenue, raising the manhole covers and getting ready to mill Boyd Avenue. They will start at Haywood Street and end at Sulphur Springs. That will be a $314,000 project. After they finish that in about 2 weeks, they'll start on Brown Avenue, starting at Balsam Drive and ending at Georgia Avenue. Now, this is a smaller section of Brown, and that's to spread the money out. So we originally had talked about milling and paving over a mile of Brown Avenue, but we basically cut that in half. So we're recommending that you move to Chestnut Park Drive, starting at Depot Street and end at the dead end. And this will be an overlay only, no milling. Fraser's, this is one that I think I want to be out of town for. Fraser Street, starting at Russ Avenue and ending at McElroy Street. As you know, that
So bad.
it's a terrible street. It's also maybe the busiest street in town.
It probably is.
Yeah, and that's why, maybe I'll take
It's
the day
all
off.
Do it
because of
every
my
day.
wife.
It's, and I see your wife every time I'm there,
I
so.
unfortunately take the.
That's
hit
right.
on
We may,
that.
we may
It's my
all,
wife.
we may all want to, not be in town when we do that. But anyway, that'll last a week. So we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 7, and then East Street will be nine weeks of paving in town. East Street, we've got to get our cameras and camera the line under to see if it's collapsed, because we've made that patch 3 times. And once we've done our job, then this will be our last street, and they'll come in and pave East Street from Main Street to Hill Street.
And that's all the way down to the bottom of the hill or
Yeah.
going back up.
Now, Hill Street's right there at the toffee place, on the back side of the toffee place.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our schedule. If we find that we have some money left,
Across
we'll
from
move
Park.
to the next.
That'll
We,
definitely take care of some major issues we got.
that's right. I'm just glad that Dick Young didn't use East Street very much. So we've also set aside money to rebuild the failed sections of the Allens Creek sidewalk, 625 feet. We have an elderly person that's confined to a wheelchair that's really having a hard time. So with that's going to be done out of this allotment of funds, and we'll also remove and restore some extruded curbing at the intersection of Auburn Park and help me out with the street. Is it yours?
Woodland.
Woodland. That's the request of property owners. They've been getting a lot of runoff that's overflowing their street because those old asphalt extruded curbs have failed.
So I can go ahead and tell him that's in the plan.
Well, if you want to.
I really.
He's pretty persistent.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one reason why
I've already got the phone call.
we just need to get that out of the way. It won't go away. So that's our schedule. If there's anything, any
I'm just
questions.
glad to see that they're getting on that, starting on that early during this pretty weather and stuff like that.
I'm really excited that they're
I know
almost a
John-
month
John
early.
has- John kind of helped lay that out.
Yeah.
Okey doke, that's good news.
Yes.
Have been in first grade all the way through high school with the owner of the paving company, right?
Something happened.
And it was happenstance. I bumped into him in Lowe's, and I hadn't seen that guy in, gosh, I don't
10
even
years,
know how many
10 years,
decades.
10 years.
Probably more
Well,
than
I was giving you a lifeline.
We want to thank you for breaking that cup. Well, you couldn't get him to do anything.
He's a good
John,
guy.
John did a lot of work on
He
that,
did.
and I
He
appreciate
did.
it.
That's John, he runs every street.
These are all streets that we're taking care of out of this year's budget, so we're gonna have an opportunity next year to.
Yes, that Powell bill funding will be coming in, I think in September. We'll get a lump sum. And so you can
Whittle
add
down that
streets.
list.
And for this year, we had last year's or something, what we had.
We have $820,000.
This is 2 years worth.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
We have
We haven't done
$820,000 of Powell bill money. Some we will reserve for our own patching. We always reserve some for emergencies, but the vast majority of that money will go to these projects I've given you.
We weren't
Sounds
able to
great.
do it last year because of the small storm.
Yeah, for tiny storm.
That all-
Please watch out for your North Carolina League of Municipalities bulletins. legislature is going to be meeting tomorrow, and they're going to start their early voting on potentially freezing towns and counties' abilities to adjust their tax rates after revaluations. We, and I mean all of the governments in Haywood County, are desperate to have that revaluation that we've already, it's been 6 years since we've had a revaluation. We all need that revaluation, and if they freeze things next year, we as a group are all be in financial problems. So watch your league bulletins, anything that you see coming across any of your, y'all have contacts all through the state. Send them to me and I'll spread them out to you. The next couple of weeks in the legislature, it's going to be extremely important for the town. That's it.
And I was reading, I think it's going to take a supermajority to get that on the ballot. So maybe it won't happen. We'll just keep our fingers crossed.
The Democrats.
And certainly Corbin would be, I don't know whether he toes the line or whether he would be receptive, but he would be a good one, I think, for us to contact.
Yeah.
That was the consensus. I spoke with the League of Municipalities lobbyists when I was at the attorneys conference a few weeks ago. And he felt like Senator Corbin would be an excellent person for us to approach about the necessity.
As a former county commissioner.
And also just he generally is open to learning and hearing information from his constituents.
Good.
So I felt
We are very fortunate to have kept.
If you want to, if you will pre-adopt a resolution asking them to be kind, I can draft one and send it out to y'all and see what you think and have the mayor sign it.
Yeah.
Yes,
And I'll
please.
send
Sounds
it
good.
out by the end of the week.
Let's do that.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Anthony,
Second.
second by
John,
John.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, shall like sign.
That's it. Thank you.
All right. We move right along to the town attorney. Do you have anything, honey?
nothing to bore y'all with.
Okay, all right.
We're already here late enough.
All right. Just want to make sure you're heard. Okay, we move to communication from mayor and the council here. The only thing I had, John and myself and Chuck, we did the ribbon cut yesterday for the Dutch Fisher Field. It was fun. We had a great time, and it had an excellent turnout, didn't it?
Mhm.
Anybody want to add anything to that? But it was a fun
We
field
owe
time.
Mackie McKay a debt of gratitude, I can tell you that.
Yeah, you could tell that was one of his fields, couldn't you?
Yep, that place.
Even by the grass, I mean, it's just beautiful there. It was gorgeous.
The girls
Okay, I
loved
think
it.
anything, I've done another ribbon cutting, I've done that at Balsam Edge. That was about 2 weeks ago, we done one there.
There's
Ribbon cutting at Balsam Edge, that's all I have. Chuck, do you have anything?
I won't be here at the next meeting. I'm accompanying 4 members of the Environmental Sustainability Board, and Laura's going with us too. Laura
Okay,
Yonkers,
good.
to the State Energy Conference in Raleigh.
Okay, good.
I'll be out.
All right, John, you have anything?
Another
for us?
thing,
I'll be in Frog Level Brewing tomorrow at 5 o'clock to discuss House Bill 369, which is parking lot requirements for new businesses.
Yeah, what then?
There's a proposal in the state, House Bill 369, which will change the requirements for parking spaces for businesses.
Uh-huh.
And I'll be in Frog Level doing listing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're having that. You're right, they're having.
Which
other
will,
thing-
yeah,
One thing I did leave off was, and Rob can back me up on that, the COG meeting is April the
Thank you,
21st.
Mayor. Yeah.
At what time?
It's usually
5:30.
5:30
At 5:30. The COG
at Clyde, in the Clyde Town Hall.
at Clyde. Do you need to let know who's going or?
It helps.
It's on my list. I'll cover it up.
Okay, let Kansas know I'm going. John?
John's gone.
John, Anthony?
what day is it again?
The 21st.
Tuesday, the 21st.
I'll try. Yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Okay,
And there's a French Broad River MPO meeting this Thursday at 1 o'clock if anyone wants to watch it online.
okay.
Cool.
Okay, we're down to the adjourn. I asked for a motion to adjourn from someone.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A motion by Anthony,
Second.
second by
Whoever.
all in favor, say aye. I don't think anybody opposed.
No.
My head is like.
Yeah.